Some stories aren't told to frighten you, they're told to remind you of what happens when the old rules are broken. Tonight's episode, we follow the trail of curses that linger long after their makers are gone. Shadows that cling to names, objects, and places that should have been left alone. Step carefully. Some things remember. Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 41 of Spooky and Kooky. I'm Ellen.
I'm Alice, and if you're into anything spooky, kooky, horror, paranormal, conspiracy, even a bit of true crime, then you will find it all here.
Yes, and today's episode is all things curses. So we've got a couple of curses and a couple of cursed objects, which we'll be going through. So, you know us, we love a curse.
We're just going to go back to back on different curses we've found, and I'm going to start off with Dudleytown, which is supposedly a cursed place. I don't know if anyone's been.
Is it in the UK?
No, it's in Connecticut. It will be in the Spooky and Kooky tour for sure.
Obviously.
So, Dudleytown sits deep in the Connecticut woods, tucked into the shadow of the Appalachian Mountains.
Of course it does.
In a place where the trees grow a little too close together and the silence feels a little too intentional. It is not a town anymore, not even a ghost town really. It's more like the memory of a town, swallowed whole by the forest and then politely erased from the map, as if nature itself said, "No thank you, we're done here."
Damn.
The story begins in the mid-1700s when the Dudley family arrived from England. Now, depending on who you ask, the Dudleys either brought with them a perfectly normal amount of bad luck or a full-blown multi-generational curse involving political betrayal, beheadings, and enough family drama to qualify as a Shakespearean tragedy. And obviously, because the episode's about curses, I'm just going to say it's a curse.
I mean, I'm going to obviously go with the curse.
The legend claims that an ancestor of the Dudleys was involved in the plot against King Henry VIII, and the family was doomed from that moment on. Whether that's true or just a very dramatic origin story, the Dudleys did seem to have a knack for attracting misfortune. When they settled in what would become Dudleytown, the land was already difficult, the soil was rocky, the winters were harsh, and the forest had a way of creeping back in no matter how much you cleared. But the settlers pushed on, building homes, farms, and a small community. And for a while, things were fine. Not great. No one was writing postcards saying, "Wish you were here," but it was fine.
Why did they not just choose somewhere else at this point?
I know, and I feel like anyone, I mean, would they know that the Appalachians have a reputation at this point?
No, but if they're saying the ground is crap, like, why are they like, well...
I know, there's so much space in America as well, but they've had a long journey from England to America. They were just like, I'm not going any further. Let's just set up right here.
That sounds very English, to be
fair.
Because
I think Connecticut is literally on the edge, so a lot of people would have come through Connecticut, New York, all of that places, and just been like, drop their bags.
It doesn't get better.
Yeah, it's like on a camping trip where you're walking through the woods for so long and then you'll just drop your bags and you're like, here we are. This is home.
I mean, I can't relate. I'm never going to go on a camping trip.
Then the tragedies began. One resident wandered into the woods and never returned. Another fell into sudden, inexplicable madness. A woman was struck by lightning inside her own home. A man returned from a trip to find his wife had gone insane and later died under mysterious circumstances. And these weren't isolated incidents, they formed a pattern, a slow, creeping accumulation of misfortune that made even the most practical neighbours raise an eyebrow. By the 1800s, Dudleytown had developed a reputation.
Oh my God.
People whispered that the land was cursed, that the forest was wrong somehow, and that the silence wasn't just silence, but something watching and waiting. And honestly, if you lived in a tiny settlement where people kept disappearing into the trees, you'd probably start to wonder too. And I feel like this is so Appalachian.
Yeah. Although the madness just makes me think they're eating something they shouldn't be eating.
Yeah. Getting something from the land.
Yeah.
By the early 1900s, the town was abandoned, so it really didn't take long. People were like, nope, not today. Getting out of here. The last residents packed up and left, and the forest wasted no time reclaiming everything. I can just imagine the last residents being like descendants of the Dudleys themselves, being like, no, Come on, guys, it's fine.
It's okay.
Trees grew through the foundations of houses, stone walls crumbled, paths vanished, and it was as if the town had never existed at all. Today, Dudleytown is private property owned by a group called the Dark Entry Forest Association.
I mean, what?
Which, let's be honest, sounds like a name of a secret society that definitely has robes.
It doesn't sound very secret. It sounds like they're pretty out there.
They insist the land is not cursed, just fragile and easily damaged by curious visitors. But that hasn't stopped the legends. People who sneak in, and they do, despite the very clear no trespassing signs, report strange experiences. The forest is unnervingly quiet, no birds, no insects, just a heavy, unnatural stillness, and some visitors claim to see shadows darting from between the trees. Others describe sudden dizziness, confusion, or the overwhelming feeling that they are not alone. Skeptics argue that the silence is caused by high iron content in the soil, which affects wildlife. Believers argue that the soil explanation is exactly what a cursed forest would want you to think. That's facts. That is actually facts, okay? And somewhere in the middle are the historians, who point out that Dudleytown tragedies, while dramatic, were not entirely unusual for isolated colonial settlements. Life was hard, people got sick, and accidents happened, and sometimes lightning just picks a house.
Of course.
But the legend persists because Dudleytown feels like the kind of place that should be cursed. The forest is dense, the light is strange, the ruins are barely visible beneath the undergrowth like bones half buried in the earth. Whether Dudleytown was truly cursed or simply unlucky, it has become one of America's most unsettling lost towns. A place where history and folklore blur together until you can't quite tell where one ends and the other begins. And maybe that's the real curse, not the tragedies themselves, but the way the story refuses to die, lingering in the woods like a whisper that says, "Come closer if you dare." So maybe we can't go on the spooky and kooky tour, because you can't trespass, but I don't know if they do, like, tours.
I just think if you're gonna buy the town or land under that name, I'm also gonna be attracted to that. But then when you say no trespassing, it's a moth to a flame. Like, you're making it interesting. Just let it simmer down. Maybe no one will be that bothered by it.
Yeah,
but
maybe don't put a sign up and no one would go there.
Exactly. Because now I want to go more than ever.
I didn't even know what it was before I researched it, but now I want to go.
What do you mean there's no wildlife?
It's my lifelong dream to go to Dudleytown. And also, what's King Henry VIII's plot? I don't know.
No, I don't know what that is.
And then when it said believers, skeptics and historians, I was like, oh, well, obviously we're the historians. But
you know what I think?
I knew you would.
You were like, and somewhere in the middle, the historians. I was like, we were like, what did happen to Henry VIII? I don't know why I put ourselves and you also put us in that box. Because
I know. I can imagine. When I read it out, I was thinking to myself, what did happen to him? And I bet you were just like, the Henry VIII thing, yeah.
That plot was wild.
I'm going to go home and look that up now.
Obviously didn't work.
Well, he must have died eventually.
Yeah, but he died. But he died of like gout and his ulcers, and he was just so gross. Bad diet. Yeah.
I'm just there like, King Henry VIII's dead, right?
He's still going.
Was there a King Henry the IX?
Let's just not go into it. We're just going to look stupid. The story of our life. Okay, so this is the Curse of the Crying Boy painting. I'll show you what the painting looks like before we start. It's fucking weird. Like, why would you want to buy that?
Is the halo and... Oh, no, that's the water. Oh, God. Oh, today's not going to be a good recording. Oh, my brain cells are dying. Actually, on that topic, we are turning 30 next week. So I feel like...
We truly are.
Our memories are fading. We're just getting to that age where we're getting over that hill.
Yeah.
And we're kind of mourning our 20s, but by this time this episode's out, we will be well into our 30s, but if you would like...
well into it.
a couple of weeks. But if you would like to wish us a happy birthday, do so.
Yeah, I'll always accept it. And just a fun fact, if you... Well, I don't know why you would know this unless you know it, but our logo is the two ghosts chasing each other because we're both Pisces.
And the
so
bones.
it's the fish.
The
and the bones are
the
Pisces sign. So just a little spooky and kooky lore for you there.
Yeah, that's symbolism.
Yeah, that's what created our logo, is our Pisces
roots.
Yeah. Pisces through and through.
And obviously Pisces are the best sign for like creativity and the spiritual side of life. So I feel like this podcast...
I don't want to toot our own horn.
I feel like this podcast really embodies the Pisces vibe, and it's just all encompassed there in that logo. It's like I've prepared a speech.
Toot. Okay, anyway. Blah, blah. Okay, back to the creepy curse of the crying child, or whatever, crying boy painting. Giovanni Brugolin, also known by his real name Bruno Amadio, an Italian painter active in the mid-20th century, created a series of portraits in the 1950s depicting sorrowful, tear-streaked children. These images, often featuring orphans or underprivileged children with strikingly expressive eyes, were reproduced on a mass scale.
I feel like that was a vibe back then.
Why?
It was a trend.
But why would you want that?
It's like in the Renaissance, it was like a trend to just paint people naked. And like lounging.
With just like one
tit out.
boob. Yeah, like two is too much, but one.
Just show one nip.
Classy.
And then it went to like crying children.
Obviously, it just naturally went to crying children.
We really see the beauty in orphans and underprivileged children who are crying.
Just squeeze one more tear out. Perfect. Keep it.
Yeah, no, it was a trend.
Weird trend. By the 1970s and early 1980s, tens of thousands of prints hung in the homes across Europe, with the UK alone purchasing more than 50,000 copies. Among the variations, one particular portrait of a dark-haired boy with glistening tears became the most iconic. This image, eventually known simply as the Crying Boy, captured the public imagination with its haunting emotional intensity. In September 1985, the British tabloid The Sun, so you know it's legit, ignited a nationwide panic with the sensationalised headline, "Blazing Curse of the Crying Boy." The article recounted the story of Ron and May Hall of Rotherham, whose home had been destroyed by a fire started by an overheated chip pan. Amid the charred remains, one object survived unscathed, their print of the crying boy.
I can just imagine it was all like melted and charred, like disfigured.
No, it was completely untouched.
Oh, that
It's
is
fine.
weird.
Yeah. Grieving and bewildered, the couple suggested the painting itself might be cursed. This claim might have faded into obscurity, except that a firefighter interviewed by the newspaper stated that he had attended numerous house fires where the only surviving object was the same print.
I bet May was like, "Ron, you left the chip pan on," and he was like, "It was the boy."
It must be the painting. According to him, he had seen at least 15 cases of this, and so the story exploded. As The Sun continued to publish follow-up stories, more readers came forward with their own unsettling experiences. A woman in Surrey lost her home to a fire just months after buying the print. Two sisters in Kilburn reported fires in their respective homes. One claimed her picture swung on the wall moments before the blaze.
I'm hearing a lot of fires. I know there was a lot of fires, like obviously before modern day fireproofing. But
Yeah.
that is a lot of fires.
And I know it was like the age of frying everything, so like... But it's a lot.
Yeah.
A woman on the Isle of Wight tried to burn her print but found it wouldn't ignite, after which she suffered a streak of misfortune. A man in Nottingham lost his home and saw his family injured, with the painting again surviving intact. A Norfolk pizza restaurant burned down, destroying every artwork except the crying boy.
Why did... This is so random.
Why is
like
it in a pizza
restaurant?
The pizza's so good it will make you cry.
But then again, is it going to be that the painting was made out of some like fireproof paint?
Yeah, probably. Probably. It's just so weird though, isn't it? Oh, I guess if there was 50,000 sold, then...
And I feel like that fireman who had seen 15 just going to 15 house fires and walking in and like centre stage is that painting and just thinking like, not again.
For God's sake.
Not again. Stop looking at me.
Firefighters themselves reportedly refused to keep the print in their homes, further cementing
Yeah.
its sinister reputation. And by the late 1985, the painting had become a national scapegoat. Any fire involving the portrait of a child, whether by Bregolin or not, was quickly attributed to the curse.
Can you imagine, like, on the official report? I don't even know if they did reports back then, but just
Cause of fire painting.
painting of a crying child.
As public anxiety grew, the Sun offered a dramatic solution. On Halloween night in 1985, the newspaper organised a mass burning of the prints. Oh, I just
Did
love
you say
how...
1985?
Yeah.
This was in the 80s?
Yeah.
Damn.
Hundreds of readers mailed their copies, which were ceremonially destroyed under the supervision of the fire brigade. Ironically, despite the legend that the prints could not be burned, the Sun had no difficulty incinerating them. Speculation about the painting's origins and supposed supernatural qualities flourished. Some claimed the boy was a gypsy child and his family had cursed the artist. Others said the child had died in a fire and his trapped spirit haunted the image.
All
but not
50,000.
even... Yeah, exactly. Not just the image, every print.
But also, I just feel like... Oh, I don't know.
I just love it
just
because
really
it's just
funny.
really snowballed into
Yeah,
this whole
this
thing.
is hysteria.
Yeah. A more elaborate tale suggested the boy, nicknamed Diablo, had accidentally caused a blaze that killed his parents. Fires allegedly followed him wherever he went, and he later died in a car crash that ended in flames. His portrait, painted before his death, was said to carry his fiery misfortune. You know what? It's just reminding me of the Slenderman episode when I said about that. I made that story of the guy that was
Yeah.
like, this is such an elaborate lie.
This is how it gets passed around, though, because do you remember that other legend about the guy in the Frosties advert?
What?
Oh, you must know. Do you remember the Frosties advert where he's like, they're gonna taste great, they're gonna taste great?
Yeah.
The boy who did that advert,
Yeah.
there was a rumour everywhere. I
Right.
can't believe you've not heard of it. You're like the only person who hasn't heard of this. That the boy committed suicide.
Oh, I think I do remember that. Was that around school time? Yeah.
Primary, secondary school.
Yeah.
But everyone you speak to, there's a slightly different version of how he did it.
Oh, I don't remember how he did it. I don't remember what I was told.
I don't even know if he did it.
Is he dead?
I don't know.
Is...
But everyone
I remember.
spoke
I
about
do
it.
remember that.
But I just know it's a rumour that went round and everyone knows it,
Yeah.
but no one knows if it's true or not. It's like his own version of the urban legend.
Yeah, he is like he's the serial Slenderman.
No, if he's still alive, that's
He's like, guys, I'm alive.
elaborate.
Yeah.
Because do you know what? It was because of the advert itself. People were like, people
was trolled,
bullied him
yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Which I don't really know if he was. I think people would. To be fair, if people saw him in the street, I imagine people went up to him and was like, "They're great."
Probably would say that like they're the first person to ever say that to him, and it was so funny. He's like,
He's just like, I can't do this anymore.
please stop.
If I look up and he's actually dead, I'll cut this whole segment out.
I feel like I have to know. Did the Oh my god, did the Frosties kid die? No! Oh god!
That's floored me.
It was a persistent urban legend. Oh, okay, it said it was just circulated in the UK.
It was an urban legend then. That's so funny.
He didn't die and he wasn't even bullied about it.
Do you know what? Me and Ellen have like an episodes list idea, and there will be an urban legends one at that point, and I'm so upset because we should have saved that for the urban legend one.
Oh my god,
that's
no,
actually...
he's alright.
Okay.
He's fine.
Yeah. He's thriving.
It says he's a successful actor, gymnast, and life coach in South Africa. He did great. Well,
Oh, that is...
who knew? Oh, I'm glad.
Obviously, I'm glad that he's okay, but that is just so... This is how these elaborate things spread. Because I genuinely, wholeheartedly, 10 toes down, was spreading that at school. I can only go off the information I have reported to me.
It's just the facts. Okay.
Yeah, anyway.
None of these stories were ever substantiated. I feel like it's just such a weird line to start again on. Oh. Experts eventually stepped in to challenge the hysteria. Fire brigades across the UK pointed out that all of the fires had ordinary causes: chip pans, cigarettes, faulty wiring and human error. But the real mystery was why the prince often survived when everything else burned. A 2010 investigation by comedian and broadcaster Steve Punt attempted to settle the matter. In a controlled test, he set fire to a crying boy print. The edges charred, but the image remained largely intact, especially the face. The prints were manufactured using a fire-retardant varnish or hardboard, a common practice for mass-produced decorative art of the era. Of the era?
That painting did get so scapegoated.
This made them unusually fire-resistant to flames, inadvertently fueling the myth, although it does make you wonder how the sun had no problem burning them. Despite being thoroughly debunked, the story of the crying boy persists as one of Britain's most enduring modern urban legends. And that's it.
Yeah, how did the sun burn them? Probably with just a lot of accelerant.
I mean, it was on a bonfire, so it's going to be hot. Although, a house fire is pretty hot.
Yeah. I feel like that probably delayed modern fireproofing getting installed in many homes, because they were just like, it's not an us problem. Like,
it's
there's
the
nothing...
curse.
Yeah, there's just a curse painting that's doing this. And then when they realised, it was
fire
us.
resistant. This is embarrassing.
Now we're going to take the tone all the way down, like I like to do, with the Kennedy curse. The Kennedy family occupies a strange place in American imagination. Part political dynasty, part celebrity royalty, and part ongoing Greek tragedy. If America ever had a royal family, the Kennedys were it. Glamorous, wealthy, charismatic, and followed by a cloud of misfortune so persistent that people eventually stopped calling it bad luck and started calling it a curse. And this is the only one on my list that I'd actually heard of. Like, I heard there was a Kennedy curse.
Yeah.
The story begins long before the assassinations, long before the headline. It began with Joseph P. Kennedy Sr., the ambitious patriarch who believed his family was destined for greatness. He had 9 children, and he expected all of them to shine, and shine they did, but just not for long. The first tragedy struck during World War II. Joseph's eldest son, Joseph Jr., was the golden child, the one groomed for political greatness, but in 1944, during a secret mission involving an explosive-laden aircraft, his plane detonated mid-air. No one ever determined exactly why. The official explanation was technical malfunction, which is military code for we don't really know, but it was definitely bad. Joseph Sr. was devastated. His political hope shifted to his second son, John. Then came Kathleen, the charismatic daughter known as Kik. She married into British aristocracy, because of course she did, and seemed destined for a glamorous life. But in 1948, her plane crashed in France during a storm. She was 28, 2 children gone in 4 years. The newspapers didn't call it a curse yet, but the idea was beginning to form. Then came 1960s, the decade that cemented the Kennedy curse in the public consciousness. John F. Kennedy became President of the United States, the youngest ever elected. He was handsome, charming, and had a smile that could probably convince a cat to pay taxes. But on November 22nd, 1963, in Dallas, Texas, he was assassinated in broad daylight. The nation was stunned, the world mourned, and the idea of a curse, once a whisper, became a murmur. 5 years later, in 1968, Robert F. Kennedy, John's younger brother, was assassinated while campaigning for president. 2 brothers, 2 assassinations, 5 years apart. At this point, the murmur became a full-blown chorus. People began to say the word out loud. Curse. But the tragedies didn't stop there. In 1969, Ted Kennedy drove off a bridge on Chappaquiddick Island. resulting in the death of Mary Jo Capenci. Ted survived, but his political career never fully recovered. The incident became yet another dark chapter in the family's story. The next generation fared no better. In 1984, David Kennedy died of a drug overdose. In 1997, Michael Kennedy died in a skiing accident, because apparently even winter sports were not safe for this family. And then in 1999, John F. Kennedy Jr., the nation's beloved Prince of Camelot, died in the small plane he was piloting crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. His wife and sister-in-law were also on board. It was the kind of tragedy that felt almost scripted, too dramatic and too heartbreaking and too perfectly aligned with the myth. By this point, the Kennedy curse wasn't just a theory, it was a cultural phenomenon. Books were written about it, documentaries were filmed, psychics weighed in, and some blamed an old family feud. Others blamed Joseph Sr.'s ruthless ambition. A few even blamed a supposed curse placed on the family by a political rival, which is historically unlikely but undeniably dramatic. Historians, of course.
Oh, here we go. This is a bit of us.
Have more grounded explanations. The Kennedys were wealthy, powerful, and constantly in the public eye. Their lives were scrutinised in a way that most families never experience. When something went wrong, and things go wrong in every family, the whole world noticed. Add in high-risk lifestyles, political danger, and the occasional questionable decision, and you have a recipe for tragedy. But logic doesn't always win against legend, and the Kennedy story feels like a legend. Whether the Kennedys were cursed or simply unlucky, their story continues to fascinate. It's a reminder that even the most powerful families are not immune to tragedy, and that sometimes history feels a little too much like a ghost story. That is the Kennedy curse.
Interesting. Yeah, that is something that I've always wanted to look into more.
The assassination.
Just their curse in general.
Yeah, I've looked into the assassination,
Have
and
you?
it is on my list.
Okay, so this one is about the Delhi Purple Sapphire. The earliest traceable history of the Delhi Purple Sapphire places it in India, where it was taken from the Temple of Indra during the violent upheaval of the Indian Mutiny in 1857. The temple was dedicated to Indra, the Hindu god of war and storms, and many believed that removing the stone from its ancient idol unleashed a curse. The gem was brought to England by Colonel W. Ferris of the Bengal Cavalry, a decision he would come to regret. Not long after his return, the Ferris family was plagued by illness and financial disaster. A string of disastrous investments made by Ferris and his son pushed the family to the brink of ruin. Matters grew even darker when a close friend of the family died by suicide while in possession of the sapphire. In 1890, the stone passed into the hands of Edward Heron Allen, an author and close friend of Oscar Wilde.
Ooh.
When the amethyst first came into Edward's possession, it was simply an object of curiosity. He was a man who collected unusual things, manuscripts, instruments, rare books, and scientific specimens. A purple gemstone with a colonial backstory would not have seemed out of place amongst his belongings. Despite being a highly educated man with scientific achievements and little patience for superstition, Heron Allen came to believe the stone brought misfortune. Not in a dramatic, supernatural sense, not in the language of hauntings or spirits, but in the quiet, creeping way that rational people describe bad luck when it becomes too persistent to ignore.
How do rational people describe that? I don't know.
I guess not instantly like, wow, that's a good... like we would.
Just it's bad luck. Just it's a lot of bad luck.
Yeah, but it becomes no longer a coincidence. It's like too many things. Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm not rational. That I'm just like...
I can't understand the rational mind.
I just don't know how you would describe that rationally.
He wrote later that the stone had brought misfortune, ill luck, and disaster. Twice he had gifted it to friends who expressed interest in it, only for both to suffer ill luck and promptly return it. He wrote that the stone was trebly accursed and stained with blood.
Ooh.
Heron Allen even claimed to have hurled the sapphire into the murky waters of Regent's Canal, only for it to resurface 3 months later.
Oh, no.
Yeah, a dredger found the stone, sold it to a jeweller, and the jeweller, recognising it, returned it to a stunned Heron Allen.
Can you imagine his face?
No. What are the odds that would get found in a canal?
Very slim. But also, I can just not imagine, like, receiving that back.
You'd be like, no.
I would get it by 2 fingers and just be looking at it and just scream, "What are you?"
He took this as further proof of its sinister power and decided that the stone could not remain in the world. He didn't sell it, he didn't give it away, he didn't destroy it. Instead, he placed it inside a box, then placed that box inside another, and another. 7 boxes in total, each one sealing the stone further away from the world. He added protective charms, a silver ring, and a warning letter before taking it to a bank vault, leaving clear instructions that it must not be opened until 3 years after his death. Very specific. I don't know why 3 years.
Just never open it. Why are you doing this to someone
But at
else,
least
bro?
he's like, well, if you're gonna be stupid, just make sure I'm not here for it.
Make sure I'm definitely gone.
Yeah. Heron Allen died in 1943, and his daughter honoured his instructions. She later gave the stone to the Natural History Museum, and once it was opened, a typewritten note was discovered inside, recounting the gem's unsettling history. Okay, let me read that again. Heron Allen ended his warning with a final chilling recommendation. Whoever shall then open it shall first read out this warning, and then do as he pleases with the jewel. My advice to him or her is to cast it into the sea. I mean, that is a statement. He's like, don't try, Canal, I've done that, and it will come back to you.
I know, but what if he's like saying it to be like, cast it into the sea and it will make its way back to you, as
Oh
almost
my
to be
God.
like, you can see its power.
Yeah.
Let me prove it to you, because it will find its way home.
Yeah. In 2004, the gem was entrusted to John Whitaker of the Natural History Museum, who was responsible for transporting it to a meeting of the Heron Allen Society. During the journey, he and his wife were caught in a violent thunderstorm that trapped them in their car, an ordeal Whitaker later described as the most terrifying of his life. And I just think when you think about the Hindu god
Yeah.
of thunderstorms,
Yeah.
that's kind of like bringing it back full circle.
Yeah.
On a second occasion, after transporting the sapphire again, Whitaker was struck down by a severe stomach illness.
Just stop transporting it.
A third time, just before he was due to handle the gem, he was suddenly incapacitated by pain and passed a kidney stone. And there was no fourth time.
But imagine if the kidney stone that came out was the stone.
He threw it into the sea, and then
That would be an Uno reverse.
that really would, and it's like,
That I couldn't actually cope with that. I think I don't even know what I would do. That would be so shocking.
I know. And so the Delhi Purple Sapphire remains in the vaults of the Natural History Museum, quiet, contained, and still accompanied by the words of a man who feared it most. It is trebly accursed and stained with blood. Cast it into the sea.
In all fairness, this is the same thing like with the Annabelle doll.
Yeah.
They said, leave it in the box.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah, just don't transport it. And then people are like, I'm just going to transport it.
Whoops.
And then something bad happens. And it's like, how can I even feel bad for you because you were warned? Stop moving it. Just stop poking the bear.
Literally. And it just does remind me, did you watch that Curse documentary?
No.
Like, even... So basically, he's out to prove... Well, he doesn't believe in stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he wants to see if he can be cursed and if something will happen to him. And I was just thinking, even if you don't believe in it, why would you try it? Just in case. And it is that same thing. Like, just in case, maybe don't do it.
Yeah.
Do not do it. Even if it's just like the psychological effects of thinking about it
Yeah.
that then make something happen, or like you attribute it to it. Don't even try it.
Yeah. It really reminds me of a YouTube documentary I watched. It's like this amateur documentary film, and the filmmaker had a friend who was addicted to heroin. And this filmmaker was like, I'm going to try it and then get myself off of it so I know what my friend is going through.
What?
The documentary spirals. Because
Oh my,
this
why
guy
would you do that?
falls into the grasp of addiction so quickly, and it ends with like another friend of his who's trying to keep him in the house to keep him on the path to recovery. And then he can't find him in the house, and they go into this room with a mattress on the floor, really sketchy, and the windows just open with the curtains blowing, like, really dramatically, and he's gone out the window. And they're like, he's literally just, he's dipped. And it's like, you look at it, and it's so sad that you see this guy's life just going down the pan.
Yeah.
But you think,
why are you doing it? If that were us and you did that for me, I'd be like, could you not have just put me into a good rehab? Why are we now both in rehab? You've not helped me.
We're not even both going to rehab together. We're just both in it together now.
Now we're fueling each other's addictions.
Yes, but it's a real commitment to the craft of this documentary. But I remember watching it so many years ago, and I think about it quite a lot. It's one of my Roman empires, I think, because I just think, why?
And I wonder if they look back on it now. Well, firstly, have they even recovered now?
Yeah, because it was years ago.
And do you look back and just think, damn, that was really stupid?
That was ridiculous. Because it's like that thing where I think to myself, when I look at some cults I understand, but other cults I'm like, I want to almost see if I could resist it. Yeah. But I know full well that I'm not the type to resist it, and I'd be full into it after like the first hour. Give me an hour talking to the leader.
It's starting to make sense, actually.
Yeah, and I just think I never actually would do it just to be like, oh, I'm going to join a cult and see if I can get out, because, like, you know, how easy
20 years later, I'm still in it.
Yeah, and it's like, why would I actually take that step? But some people just love to.
Yeah, and so this guy, like, travels the world trying to get cursed. Anyway, in the end...
Sorry.
No, I mean, I wasn't even gonna say the whole story, but I just feel like I have to now. But in the end, he does end up believing in it. And the people that one of the first people that he went to in America who were like, please don't do this. You're going to hurt yourself and people around you. He then went back to them like, so I did it. And now I'm really scared. And they were like, well, we can get rid of it for you. So they did all perform this ceremony to get rid of it.
I'm not even going to bother.
Honestly, the guy was like the hardest eye roll at him. Like, why did you do it?
We told you not to.
And he got cursed multiple times. Not even once was enough for this man. He did it 3 times.
Oh, I need to watch that now, because that actually sounds quite funny.
It's just like, why? I just would never try it, just in case.
No, just to find out.
Yeah.
Just to test it.
I don't want to just test it, because if it's true, then I've really fucked up.
Literally. It's like going into the Appalachian Mountains. I'm not going to go off the trail just in case.
Yeah, I'm not just going to stand there waiting for something to get me.
Right, the last curse I'm going to be talking about is the Boston Molasses Flood. Have you ever heard of that? Because I haven't.
No. What, like tree molasses? Like sap?
So it's kind of like a syrup. I think it might be sap.
Yeah.
But it's a really bizarre story, so I saved it for the last. On a cold January afternoon in 1919, the people of Boston's North End were going about their day with absolutely no expectation that they were about to be attacked by a desert. The neighbourhood was crowded, noisy and full of life, horses clopping along the cobblestones, children playing in the street, workers hauling crates along the waterfront. It was the kind of place where you could smell bread baking, hear half a dozen languages at once, and, if the wind was right, catch a faint whiff of molasses drifting from the giant steel tank looming over Commercial Street. The tank was enormous, 50 feet tall, 90 feet wide, and filled with more than 2 million gallons of molasses. It belonged to the Purity Distilling Company, which used the syrup to make industrial alcohol. The tank was so large that it actually cast a shadow across the street like some kind of sticky metallic monolith. And it had a secret. A very poorly kept secret. It leaked.
God.
Not a little leak either. Not the kind of leak you can just ignore, like a dripping tap or a suspiciously damp ceiling tile. This tank leaked so badly that children would actually run up to it with cups and collect the molasses. The company's solution to the problem was not, as one might hope, to fix it. They just painted it brown.
Well, so you couldn't see it leaking?
So you couldn't, yeah.
That makes sense.
On January 15th, 1919, at around 12:40 p.m, the tank finally gave up pretending everything was fine, and witnesses said they heard a sound like a gunshot or a thunderclap, or, as one person described it, a giant groaning in pain. And then the tank exploded.
Oh, that would be so grim. Ants for days. Wasps.
Bees would be loving it.
Yeah, but we like bees, that's okay. Yeah. But ants, wasps.
Yeah.
No thanks.
What followed was one of the strangest disasters in American history. A wave of molasses, thick, dark, and 25 foot high.
No way, so you could swim in it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Burst
that'd be
out of the
grim.
tank and tore through the streets an estimated 35 miles per hour.
Jesus.
If that number sounds impossible, it's because it is. Molasses is not known for its speed.
No.
It is known for being the thing that makes pancakes sticky and ruins your shirt. But on that day, propelled by pressure and gravity, it moved with terrifying force.
Oh, that's grim. It's bad enough when you get like sticky hands from
Yeah.
syrup, but sticky everything.
How do you even wash everything after this?
How you couldn't swim in it, could you? Would you just be stuck in it?
What, people died.
I can imagine. Because I don't think you can swim through that. Surely
No.
it's too thick.
You would just get stuck. The wave smashed buildings, knocked over elevated train tracks, and swept people off their feet. Horses were also trapped and drowned.
Oh, no.
Workers were pinned beneath debris. The molasses was so thick that once it touched you, it clung like glue. People struggled to breathe, their mouths and noses filled with syrup, and rescuers later said the hardest part wasn't finding survivors, it was pulling them free. 21 people died,
Wow.
150 were injured, and the neighbourhood was left coated in a layer of molasses so deep that cleanup crews spent weeks scraping it off buildings, streets, and anything that didn't move fast enough.
That's what I was going to say. Like, what is the cleanup of this? Where do you start?
Do you just build a whole new town? I would
Yeah.
have just built a whole new town.
It's not.
It's
Yeah,
just
I'd be
not
too
even worth it
overwhelmed.
Even the harbour turned brown. For decades afterwards, locals claimed that on hot summer days, the smell of molasses would rise from the cracks in the pavement,
Oh, God.
as if the disaster was still lingering beneath the city. Naturally, people began to whisper that the flood was cursed. After all, how else do you explain being attacked by a sugary tidal wave?
I mean, the leak.
Literally, yeah. Some blamed sabotage, prohibition was looming, and industrial alcohol was a hot commodity. Others blamed the company's negligence, which, to be fair, was not exactly subtle, and some simply shrugged and said, well, that's busting for you.
Jesus Christ.
Well, that's busting for you. The truth, as often as it is, was a combination of poor engineering, corporate corner cutting, and physics behaving badly. The tank had been built quickly and cheaply, and it had never properly been tested. Workers reported hearing groans and cracks for months, and the day before the explosion, a shipment of warm molasses had been added into the cold winter batch, causing the pressure inside the tank to spike. It was a disaster waiting to happen. A sticky, slow-motion catastrophe disguised as a storage container. But the legend of the molasses flood persists because it feels like something out of a dark fairy tale. It's absurd, tragic, and strangely haunting. There's something unsettling about a disaster caused not by fire or water, but something as innocent as molasses. It's the kind of story that makes you look twice at your kitchen cupboard and wonder if your syrup bottle is plotting something.
I feel like that's something as a kid that you would think that's so cool, and then
Yeah.
you think now, like, I can't. That sounds horrific.
But a tidal wave of syrup.
That's grim.
And just the fact, like, obviously, I don't think it was a curse. Like, people call it a curse because it's just so weird. It obviously was just the company.
Yeah, just not fixing what they should fix. But it's so funny that you say, you look at the bottle of syrup in your cupboard and you just think, that could kill me on that scale. It's like, sometimes you ever think what it would be like if a fly or an ant or whatever was just scaled up to our size.
Oh.
Because
that would be
I
so
think
grim.
about that and it would be so scary.
Yeah.
Maybe
that
not a
would
fly.
be-
I don't know, would a fly...
That would be really scary because they are ugly looking
their
and
eyes.
freaky. Yeah.
But I don't
would do
know,
that.
like, if we would be endangered by a fly. Don't know.
I feel like if they were that big, they would be predators. They'd be the top of the food chain.
Oh, it would be horrendous.
Yeah, and maggots everywhere, but full-sized.
Yeah, because I just think about the Jurassic Age and where bugs were massive.
Yeah, everything was massive.
Yeah, and I just think, oh, that's a nightmare. Imagine a mosquito.
Nightmare fuel.
Imagine it's basically got a sword on its face. Oh, God. Yeah, I think about that too much.
Now I'm going to think about it. I'm going to get home and just look around and be like, imagine if this was really big.
Yeah. I said to Rich the other day, like, if I was a worm for 1 week a month, firstly, would he still love me? He did say yes. I would change back into a person.
Yeah.
But then also, like, would we think of missions that I can do in my worm form?
Just to keep you entertained.
Or just to, like, explore the places that you wouldn't see as a person.
I know, but would you want to take the risk of being picked up by a bird?
That's true. But, like, even just, like, the little cracks in your house, like, I could just go have a look and see, oh, what if it's a giant spider, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
But
really
imagine a bird picks you up and eats you as the worm, and then a week later, it's just, like, a person.
Or imagine it's like full height of flight, and then I just turn back into a person and just fall to my death. That would also be terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not really related. It's just,
Admirable that he would still love you, though.
yeah.
That's
But imagine just waking up to a worm next to you in bed, like, oh, it's worm week.
It's that time of the month.
Worm week. Yeah.
Imagine calling in sick to work, like, well, I can't come in today, I've turned into a worm.
You'd imagine, like, you'd have to type it on your phone, but as a worm.
They'd be like, have you got someone to cover for you? Otherwise you're going to have to come in.
Be like dance mat, like just trying to hop from one letter to the other.
So good. But I think that's all the curses that we have. That could be a curse. Let's do the twisted tongues for the next episode.
A choice too curious for sense to defend. A stumble of logic that hastens the end. A tale where mischief and fate intertwine. What game of folly asks, how might one die?
I'm excited for that episode.
It's going to be funny. And it's more of a theme this time.
Yeah.
So it's a hard one to guess because it is a theme. But
we have actually mentioned it on the pod before that we would like to cover this
I
one.
think we
did sing the jingle.
Yeah.
I'm going to sing it so much in that episode. But yeah, if you do enjoy us, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, and if you know any fun curses, well, curses aren't fun, but any interesting curses or cursed objects.
If you've ever been cursed yourself.
This feels like a really shit, like, have you had an injury at work?
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. And
we can't do anything to help you, but we want to know about your misfortune.
yeah, we just curses are just interesting, aren't they? Intrigue. So let us know. And we hope to see you for
Next
episode
time,
42.
See you later.
Bye.